Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. To start things off, MoneyTap, a mobile application using the RC Cloud 2.0 which implements Xcurrent, will indeed incorporate XRP when facilitating global payments. This is according to the latest SBI Group financial report. Uniquely, the mobile app has been at the fore for SBI Holdings, a leading financial services company based in Tokyo. Notably, MoneyTap allows its users to make instant domestic payments. Easing transaction settlement, a user only requires a bank account, a QR code, or a phone number to send payment. According to Yoshitaka Katao, who is the CEO of SBI, he said, and I do quote, "We have 25 participating banks. And 8R API platform connected with Ripple. We want MoneyTap to accommodate international remittance, so we created a mechanism and it may contribute to XRP being used on XRapid." End quote. So here's the actual tweet right here and a little video of the guy actually talking about it with the quote. This is Yoshitaka Katao right here, who is the CEO of SBI Bank once again. The weirdest part about all of this, and I mentioned this before, and conspiracy question marks floating around. This is probably, I think, the actual only website that I found talking about this. And I'm noticing a very quick pattern developing over the last couple of months where I thought we were actually getting an enormous amount less of Ripple /XRP /XRapid news. But it's just that other websites aren't reporting at all. I've noticed the same exact thing with a couple of other coins, coins that you already know that I don't care about. I've noticed a lack of news from them, and most websites typically or specifically usually only focus on Bitcoin and Ether and nothing else. It says it over here. This happened a couple of weeks ago at this point. It says Ripple's MoneyTap counts 7 new bank participants for the payment platform. This one also says it right here. MoneyTap to connect 60 Japanese banks with Ripple. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that the entire MoneyTap app is going to, what is it, like 80%? Yeah, there we go. MoneyTap is supported by a consortium of banks led by SBI Ripple Asia. To point out, the consortium is made of over 60 banks that account for roughly 80% of all banking assets in Japan. I find it a little weird that Ripple would have garnered, created, founded, gotten a partnership that is pretty much essentially them working with 80% of all the banks in Japan. We have proper confirmation, which has been one of the major criticisms of Ripple /XRP, is that it's not being used. And when you find out that it's going to be used by over 80% of all banks in Japan, and then it's not spoken about, I find that incredibly odd. I was going to say I have my own feelings as to why I think they don't release the news. It's simply because the Ripple team, they're not as fiendish or evil or whatever the word might be as other Bitcoin maximalists or whatever the actual case might be. A lot of people were asking before, if I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, I'm a Bitcoin sympathizer. I understand the need for Bitcoin and the why we have Bitcoin and why Bitcoin can be very useful, but I do also think that there is still space for other coins out there, and this is why I tell people to try and focus on the ones that get the most news, that have the most attention, the ones that are being spoken about and being integrated into other financial systems. And this is why I also was, especially last year, exceptionally bullish on the Ripple team and XRP, because we had news from Ripple that they had partnered also with, I think, almost every single bank in India. The point to be made is, without rambling on much further, we now have confirmation that the app MoneyTap, which is already being used around the world, not even just in Japan, is going to be utilizing XRP, because Xcurrent can also implement XRP on top of it as well. This was also one of the main things that people kept on saying. Well, it's using Xcurrent and I hear nothing about XRP. That's because you probably haven't done any research and you don't realize that the integration, or rather the update of Xcurrent to 4.0, allows the actual usage of XRP on top of it as well. But now they've also explicitly said going to be using XRapid and XRP on MoneyTap, which in itself is insane. Can you imagine if we had indications or some type of news that there was a company, or rather even more so because SBI is a bank, and then the rest of the consortium lies under SBI. Imagine if we had news that Bank of America and a couple of other banks in America, or even imagine if 80% of all banks in America were starting to use an app on people's phones to be able to send value back and forth, and we had news that it was exclusively going to be using Ether, or that it was going to be using Tron, or that it was going to be using Litecoin. People would have completely lost their minds, and I have a strange feeling as well that news would have definitely made it very rapidly around the world, and people would have been championing, gloating and stuff like that, talking about how amazing their coin is. It's very odd. I think I mentioned this one time last year, but I'll just reiterate it just in case anybody missed it. Just because you don't like Ripple and or XRP and don't care for what they do or whatever the case might be, they're going to be and continue to be at the moment a very successful company. They've partnered with hundreds of banks around the world, and I'm certain that there's so many non-disclosure agreements that we aren't even a part of that we won't know about for maybe even a couple of years. For other companies, banks, institutions who are going to be using XRP, I find the negative sentiment not even a bit childish. It's incredibly childish. But the fact that there are news platforms who make sure that they don't release this news so that other people don't know about it, it's a little annoying. The point being, one of the major things that we've been talking about for a very long time has been the Money Tap app and its utilization of Xcurrent. And now we know that it's going to be using XRapid and therefore XRP, the cryptocurrency. And I remember before, now that I'm thinking about it, last year when we first had news that Money Tap was going to be using RippleNet and all this other stuff, I think they send hundreds of billions of dollars back and forth between all these banks that happen, the interconnected web that's going to be using it. And also, we also have had indications before that the actual SBI bank said that they planned on sending remittances and stuff like that between themselves across borders and stuff like that, also using XRP. I don't know. I still personally feel like XRP is incredibly undervalued. This is also just my opinion. Say what you want. But there has... The Ripple team has done more than any... Can you imagine if the people from Litecoin were doing as much as the people from Ripple? Like I said, my opinion, there's a huge difference between selling cufflinks and trying to get a poster of yourself behind people punching each other in a ring, as opposed to partnering with 250 banks and having 80% of all banks within Japan using your cryptocurrency, and partnering with almost every single bank in India. Anyway, this is incredible news. Golf clap for everyone who has XRP or is in the XRP community. I know the price can be a bit depressing, both looking at it and also because the price also is depressed itself and the price keeps going down. Just pay attention to the actual fundamentals, what they're doing, all the new partnerships that they have. Never, ever forget that the people who are sitting on their board members, are incredibly influential people who actually make all of these things happen and make sure that XRP is also going to be implemented. And without further ado, let's move on. Also in incredibly weird news, LedgerX has deleted a tweet of the report on CoinDesk announcing that the company has launched the first physically settled Bitcoin futures contracts in the United States. For those of you who need a little bit of a backdrop, there's a company called LedgerX who announced that a couple days last year, before the people from Bakkt, that is the New York Stock Exchange, that they had actually put in their application to be able to be approved for Bitcoin futures. And they weren't normal Bitcoin futures, these were physically settled Bitcoin futures. So a couple of people asking in the comment section below, how can you physically deliver Bitcoin? It means the actual Bitcoin itself is being sent back and forth, like between me and you. That would be physically delivering. They have to find a word to that, that goes with the normal jargon of the traditional financial market. So it's not like people actually extracting Bitcoin, throwing it at one another, and then shoving it back into the computer. It's the actual movement of Bitcoin between persons as it's happening. Because before it was actually happening in fiat, in cash. checks, money orders, direct deposits, who knows, however they're doing it. The point is that the people from LedgerX had announced that they were launching their physical Bitcoin futures contracts, and everyone was like, wow, they actually ended up beating the New York Stock Exchange. They even announced that they were launching it. It was going to happen. And then apparently all of that got backtracked yesterday. In a statement received by CoinDesk on Thursday, the U.S. Commodities Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, says that LedgerX has actually not yet been approved by the commission to offer physically settled Bitcoin futures, contradicting the company's claims. To make it even weirder, if you go to the U.S. Commodities Futures Trading Commission website, there's something on the 25th of June that says CFTC approves LedgerX LLC as a designated contract market. We had this news as well. I'm going to show you the whole sequence of events. It says the Commodities Futures Trading Commission announced today that it has approved the application of the LedgerX LLC, LedgerX, for designation as a contract market. LedgerX is a Delaware limited liability company located in New York City and a wholly owned subsidiary of Ledger Holdings. LedgerX has been registered with the CFTC as a swap execution facility and derivatives clearing organization, DCO, since July 2017. Effective the 24th of June 2019, LedgerX is also registered as a designated contract market, DCM, under Section 5 of the Commodities Exchange Act, CEA, and Part 38 of the CFTC's regulation. With registration as a DCM, LedgerX will be required to demonstrate continued compliance with all applicable provisions of the CEA and CFTC regulations, including Part 38. This was the news that we had alongside, I think it was this as well, other news that we had information from not only the CFTC, but the people from LedgerX that they had been approved by the CFTC to be able to deliver physical Bitcoin futures. This was very big. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they actually did it, because the idea was that the New York Stock Exchange would have, what's the word? When like you are last in the line, but you still get pushed up to the front. Can't remember the word at the exact moment. But people were like, okay, well, that's kind of cool that LedgerX actually ended up beating out the New York Stock Exchange. Here's another one right here. It says, LedgerX wins CFTC approval to offer physically settled Bitcoin futures. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about all of this in a couple of seconds. This one right here from yesterday, it says, in a statement received by CoinDesk Thursday, the CFTC so-and-so has not been approved. Incredibly odd, because the CFTC knew for a while. It's been, what is that, 25th of June when all of that information came out. That's a good 37, 38 days that the CFTC knew that the people from LedgerX had believed that they had been approved by the CFTC to deliver physical Bitcoin futures, because this news was everywhere. And I don't mean some places, I mean completely all over the place. What ended up happening was, also apparently, it says LedgerX press representative Ryan Gorman told CoinDesk he will no longer be representing the company as of Thursday over concerns about the events of the last 24 hours. I feel like this was orchestrated. These are all my opinions. This is how I feel. This is how my brain is working at this very moment from the information that we have been afforded and the information that we have in front of us. The CFTC knew explicitly that the people from LedgerX believed that they had been approved for physical Bitcoin futures. I don't have the videos here. For those of you who were here when we were talking about that, there were at least 3 videos that popped up. I think there were like, what's it called? Like meetings, not performances, like why can't I ever remember this word? Where people are sitting on stage and they talk about something that has happened to them recently and they go, yeah, we've actually been so-and-so, and say, yeah, this has happened, so-and-so, we're finally working with blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Those little conferences. The people from LedgerX were sitting on stage, and I think it was her. This might have even been it, where they were talking about, yeah, we received approval, blah, 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 blah. In the past, whenever any company, institution, organization has come forward and said, yeah, we received approval from the SEC, we're working with the SEC, we have approval from the CFTC, we have blah, 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 we've submitted our paperwork with the CFTC or the SEC has come forward rapidly and said, nope, that's not what happened, we're not working with them, they don't have the paperwork, they don't have approval, they never came to us, we have never spoken to them, the list goes on and on. So for the fact that the last month and some change, the people from Ledger X were told or believed that they had actual approval. There's no one in their right mind. Do you understand how the level of audacity you would have to have as a company to think that you can physically launch Bitcoin futures against the will of the CFTC, if you understand what I'm saying? No one in their right mind, because every single other company thus far who has tried to do something without the approval of the CFTC or the SEC has $1.6 million fines, $5 million fines, $15 million fines. No one's dumb enough to try and launch something on their own. I think the people from Ledger X probably had, I don't even want to say the word approval. They had something. They had something in writing, or someone contacted them and told them, yeah, you have approval, because there's no way on two sides, there's no way that a company as big as Ledger X would do something to tarnish their reputation, to say something out loud that they're going to be launching something and then do it and then go, oh wait, no, sorry, yeah, lies, we couldn't do it. I don't think they're that dumb. And on the other side, the CFTC for a very long time and the SEC, if you've been paying attention, have made sure to stomp out anyone who believed that they had a bit more leeway or had an inch more than they actually did, and shut them down completely, extremely fast. I feel like something weird is happening behind here. I don't know who to blame. I don't know who to so-and-so, but my money, like I said, my own opinion is pointing towards the CFTC. I felt for a very long time between the CFTC and the SEC that something very, my opinion, and I want to use the word shady, is definitely happening. There have been far too many rejections from the CFTC and the SEC for companies who are trying to get a bit further within the cryptocurrency space. And I don't think for a second that a company who's trying to stay around for the next 20 years, Ledger X or anyone else otherwise, is stupid enough to try or even announce that they have approval from the CFTC, go about launching physical Bitcoin futures, having to retract the physical Bitcoin futures, and the CFTC simply not knowing about this. One would assume, I'll put it to you this way. If I had a major company and I had received approval from, or had been told that I had received approval from the CFTC to launch, to be the first company in the United States to launch physically settled Bitcoin futures, I would have called back at least 17 times and been like, are you sure? You sure? All right, I'm going to call you back tomorrow. All right, love you, bye. And hang up. I would have called them every single day. I feel like something's very odd. And you want to even know what's even crazier as all of this was taking place. Bitcoin futures platform Bakkt is gearing up to launch soon. The head of the parent firm said on Thursday, although he did not set a timeline. Intercontinental Exchange, or ICE, CEO Jeffrey Sprecher, speaking during a quarterly earnings call, said Bakkt is working to develop a regulated ecosystem that serves the evolving needs of participants around the world. He said, subject to regulatory approvals, we plan to launch our physically settled Bitcoin futures in the very near future. Sprecher did not provide a specific timeline. Can you guess who Bakkt is also working with to also receive approval for their physically settled Bitcoin futures? You got it. It's the CFTC. I think that is incredibly odd that at the same exact time where the people from the Ledger X side were pretty much told on the day of them launching their Bitcoin futures, no, you can't do it, that the people from the New York Stock Exchange and Bakkt were also like, yeah, we're going to launch ours very, very soon. Something's going on behind the scenes. I think it has to do with money. It's not that I feel bad for the people from Ledger X, but this is definitely something that is going to tarnish them when it even shouldn't. You have to think logically at this. That's such a weird position to put yourself in. That's like, imagine knowing that you'll get in trouble by the SEC for releasing a cryptocurrency that you're trying to push out to the world, and then you still do it, even though you know the SEC hasn't told you to. Like, I feel like something very odd is, I don't know. Anyway, I think this is actually the other one right here. Yeah, have the wrong positioning. what we've heard before from the people from the New York Stock Exchange is that Bakkt is planning on launching in Q3. So is the plan, pending New York Financial Department approval. I feel like, once again, my opinion, between New York regulators, the CFTC and the SEC, they're just garbage. I can't think of a nicer word. They're doing everything in their power to make sure that this movement, the cryptocurrency space, the cryptocurrency anything, just doesn't move forward. Remember the news that we had a couple of months ago? I broke it down like an actual timeline of how long it takes for the CFTC, the SEC, and I think it's the NYDFA, the New York Department of Financial Authority, something like that, how long it takes for them to actually do stuff. It takes anywhere from like 4 to 6 years from the moment that someone says we want to do something to them actually being like, okay, we're going to start paperwork. And then what was it, like 60 months? It's incredibly odd how long that this actually ends up taking. The fact that it even takes an organization as big as the New York Stock Exchange is what is it? It's over a year now to get paperwork is incredibly weird. I firmly believe that a lot of stuff like this is going to take place. For those of you who don't know, I am considered what is called a futurist. I believe in future technologies and that technology is going to continue to advance from where it is now even further and is going to be a major part of our life. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look at the phone you have in your hand now compared to the phone you had in your hand in 2009, and then go back to even 1999. Kind of saying it that way. Technology will continue to advance. A lot of these things that we have right now, these financial institutions, these financial departments, the banks, the organizations, the institutions, the attorneys, the lawyers, the accountants, a lot of this stuff is going to go away. Sorry to tell you, a lot of this stuff can already be automated. And I was, once again, listening to a podcast, and they were talking about how within the next 15 years, how different things are going to be as far as even just automation, self-driving everything, bank tellers disappearing, and also accountants and all of these financial departments, because you can pretty much, all of these things that all these financial departments know are in the books. It says it somewhere. What happens when you write all of that into a computer? The computer can get you that information in about 8.5 seconds, if not quicker. So if you're an organization or a company saying, hey, we're looking to do ABC, XYZ, can this happen? You click enter on the computer, and the computer goes, yep, as long as you meet this criteria. And you go, we have that, we have that, we have that, we have that, we have, you keep ticking all the boxes, and they go, okay, send us a document. You scan the documents. It's a computer, so it knows in about 3 seconds that all of the documents are correct because it also is using AI, and you get your approval the same day, maybe even the same week if the computer decides to take a little vacation by itself. None of this should be taking this long. I feel like it's all coordinated. There's no way that all of this isn't coordinated, that it takes this long. It doesn't take a year for the New York Stock Exchange to receive documents saying that they can launch futures, which they already have, and with something as simple as Bitcoin, especially because the people from Bakkt have told us before that they have a custodian to be able to hold their Bitcoin, which was also another problem that people from the CFTC had. I don't know the people from the CFTC. I'm not sure of I don't want to say their age. I don't think age is applicable in a situation like this, but their knowledge of current technology. I'll put it to you that way. It's very odd. I think it's all a little weird. I think the way that this was all set up, and I mentioned it before, is that the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, and Fidelity would get priority is the word, that they would get priority in this space. This is why I was very shocked when LedgerX got the approval first before the New York Stock Exchange. So what I assume is going to happen now is that the people from LedgerX are going to have to go back crawling to the CFTC and go, what happened? Hey, what's going on? You guys told us yes. Bakkt is going to launch first sometime in Q3. Q3 is now. The end of Q3 is, I believe, September. I assume Bakkt is going to launch first. The New York Stock Exchange will launch around the same exact time. Fidelity is also going to launch a little thing. Maybe TD Ameritrade and a couple of other major names. And I think the rest of the crumbs will be left for the LedgerX. What was the other one? Like the Quadria X, some other company who also applied for it. And that's when the CBOE and the blah, 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 and all the other ones will also start getting their documents as well in order. This is just how I felt from the very beginning. It's clear that this is all obviously It's clear that this is all just about money, but it's also about my best friend's money. I'm making sure that my best friend stays rich and gets richer than other people before I give pennies and cents to any other people who may be walking behind them. Very odd, very weird. I assume within the next week or so, we'll probably get more information on exactly what's happening with all of this. If Bakkt gets delayed again, it's very odd. None of this should be happening. I was talking with a friend and he was saying that he assumes that what's happening is that we're in a heavy accumulation phase. This was actually spoken about at the beginning of this year. There were a number of analysts who said, even as Bitcoin was around 3,200, 3,400, that there was an accumulation phase happening behind the scenes, that people weren't paying attention. Normal people, i.e. people who watch cryptocurrency prices on the news and stuff like that, or who aren't really into the cryptocurrency space, don't understand what's happening and don't really understand the actual effect that this is going to have on the world. I spoke with a friend. I know he doesn't listen to my video. Bless his heart. He thought that Bitcoin was dead, that the whole cryptocurrency space was done, and I couldn't breathe in the air to release the words to tell him that this is going to take over the world, that this new financial system that's being built is not disappearing anytime soon, and that Bitcoin is probably going to be worth a large amount of money in the relatively near future. What's probably happening is that we have a number of companies openly saying that they're buying up huge amounts of Bitcoin over the counter. Individuals also saying it. There are other prominent people in the cryptocurrency space who announce that they spend millions per month buying up cryptocurrencies through apps, other ways that they can simply figure out how to actually gain more Bitcoin. It's a lot of stuff is happening. Anyway, I'm rambling on too much. The point is there's something amiss in the cryptocurrency space. Try to keep your head on. I'm glad that there wasn't a really big negative reaction against the people from LedgerX not launching, but I think there will be, or would be, if the people from Bakkt didn't end up launching in Q3. It's taken far too long. They should have launched already. But without further ado, let's move on. To kind of finish things off, major crypto wallet and blockchain data provider known as blockchain.com has launched its own crypto exchange to compete with popular platforms such as Binance, named The Pit. The new crypto exchange was reportedly set up by former executives from the New York Stock Exchange, TD Ameritrade, Google, and Goldman Sachs, all the richest people in the world. This was reported by CNBC. According to the announcement, The Pit will be available in more than 200 countries, initially supporting 26 trading pairs. Customers will be reportedly able to link their bank account with an account at blockchain.com and trade crypto against 3 major fiat currencies, including the US dollar, the euro, and the British pound sterling. Peter Smith, CEO of blockchain.com, says The Pit can execute orders in a matter of microseconds, which enables it to compete with major crypto exchanges, including Binance and Coinbase. Smith elaborated that the new exchange's matching engine, Mercury, can process buy or sell orders in 40 to 50 microseconds. I wonder if they have I don't see an actual launch date for this. Nope, don't see a launch date. I assume it's in the works, and I assume that they'll try to release this sometime this year. For those who have no idea why it's called The Pit, the actual what's it called? The trading area in the old stock exchanges, like, you know, like when all those men were like flagging each other and hitting each other in the face, like trying to buy, sell. That used to be called The Pit. So I assume as they are executives from the New York Stock Exchange, they're trying to bring back the former glory. Even though now it's like, I think 15 people who actually still work there as opposed to the 800 who used to be running around before. Interesting. I think it'll probably do fairly well. I assume with the New York Stock Exchange, TD Ameritrade, Google, and Goldman Sachs backing it, they'll probably be very effective in being able to advertise this. The most interesting part is the 26 trading pairs for a cryptocurrency exchange. Let the rumors begin as to exactly which coins they're going to be allowing or actually have on their platform. I have a fairly easy idea of the coins that are going to be listed on there first. But I mentioned before, once again, the coins that I think are going to do very well in the future are going to be coins that are not supported, but are kind of backed not that Bakkt, but backed by these other companies. Any indication that we get from major names like this releasing an app where people will have, potentially millions of people will have access to, I assume this is also, especially from Goldman Sachs, I assume this will be integrated in some sort of way. I don't know if you've seen it. You've definitely seen it before. Every bank has their own online banking access account, phone things. You could go into your account. They can advertise new things to you very, very easily, or tell you to download this one. You may get a, what's it called? A bit of a discount, or even, hey, are you looking to buy so and so and so? Looking to invest? Download this. I think this is the beginning of, I think, what I was calling before, like the mainstream entrance into the cryptocurrency space. They're definitely looking for ways to be able to get the everyday average Joe into the cryptocurrency space. But I think we won't see a full rush like this until Bitcoin passes by the $1 trillion mark. We'll definitely have a rush of people getting into the cryptocurrency markets, without a doubt. But I think a lot of these things are going to launch in rapid succession after each other. Once Bitcoin is too expensive for the normal person to be able to afford, I mean, Bitcoin's already kind of up there, to be able to afford a full one or even a fraction of one, and that's when the kind of crypto madness ends up starting. So, yeah. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. They are Mechanic, Anthony Charles, Nick Mangialavori, Arthur Yaku, Minting Coins, Jim Gardner, Jeremy the Photographer, Tom Sucks at Basketball, and Sam Skips Leg Day, Paxis, Vlad the Impaler, Cody, RF Dusty, Richie Rich the Third, Nick Kanaya, Setsuna, Nicholas, One Earth, One Peace, One Love, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Clara T. Snowden, Jeffrey Ramsey, Amy Starsheen, Yasha Harari, Rai, singer-songwriter Mike Savitz, Carl Birchenoff, Mohair Maroney, Crypto Joe, Wise Night Owl, Jared Schneider, L. Doug, Brady Niels, Crypto and Beer Shipmate, Adobo, Azam Im El Zofri, My Keto Kitchen, Triple M and J, 242 to the World, Master Ventures in Thailand, Bank Roll Network, Damien, Strange Radio Central, and Professor Wally from Gunbot, University. Thank you all an incredible amount for your support at the moment. The market is weird. Bitcoin is up, which I found very surprising. I expected after this negative news that Bitcoin would not be up and that Bitcoin was probably going to go back down. Depending on where you look, people are saying that a break above $10,000, which we have done, we're up. We were, what was it, 9,992 for like the entirety of yesterday. That Bitcoin could be potentially positioning itself for a move above not only 11,000, but maybe trying to push once again back to 14. I don't feel like we have the momentum to get us back to 14 at the moment. There's nothing really major kind of driving up the prices. It seems like a normal, hey, let's move things forward kind of thing. Ethereum is also up, but the Satoshi prices for a lot of coins are down, which could be indicative of exactly where all of this stuff is going to go. The weirdest part of today for me is that we consistently, or rather, we have been receiving a large amount of good news about XRP, but the price continues to go down. I'm tired of the comments. If you have your own comments about or something negative to say about XRP, please keep it to yourself. Like, I'm tired of reading it. I've been reading it for the past 2 years. I don't have the energy to even deal with the, I tell myself that these people are just bots. I think it allows me to sleep easier at night, because there's no way that people can just, you can't be angry at a digital token that you didn't create. You can't touch it. You can't be angry with it. It doesn't make any sense. It's like you being angry with gravity, or like being angry with the wind and you furiously punching the sky. Like, you can't touch it. Stop being angry with it. It's very weird that XRP always continues to go down. It's not even that the coin is crap. It's not an SHIT coin. It's not a blah, 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 blah. Like, we know that it's being integrated, but the fact that the coin still goes down tells me that there's an enormous amount of negativity around it. And also, it could just simply be not even selling pressure. A lot of you weren't here during 2017, and I noticed something very quick. There was a point where XRP was worth less than half a cent per XRP. And I was actually looking at the trading charts. Forgot which website I was on, and there were people, as XRP reached $1, it was $1 and like 1/20 millionth of a cent, just reached $1. The amount of sell orders that activated for 600,000 XRP, 1.2 million XRP, caused the price to start to cascade down. These people were so desperate to continue to push the price of XRP down. As the price of XRP hit around $1.50, there was like 20 million XRP. There was so many people trying to desperately push down the price of XRP. It ended up working out eventually. You know, if you have, you know, this continued selling pressure as it hit, I think it was like, the high was like, was it 360? Something like that. Everyone has their own little metric as to exactly what price XRP hit. Anyway, the point is, Litecoin was trying to hit $100, which apparently is the major number that people are trying to get Litecoin to hit. Also very odd is that we are, was it 4 days away from the Litecoin halving, and the people were expecting the price of Litecoin to continue to go insane. It has not. It's a little weird. I think nothing else is really spectacular at the moment. Tezos is still up because the people from Coinbase announced that they are going to be, I think it's being integrated into Coinbase Pro. I'm pretty sure it was Tezos. I think they're also doing a Tezos staking thing. Don't hold me to that, but I remember reading that somewhere. Nothing else is really doing spectacularly at the moment. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I hope it's absolutely fantastic. This market is incredibly weird. If nothing else, every day in the cryptocurrency space is entertaining. I put it to you that way. Even when prices are in red, even when prices aren't moving, even when we get really good news and prices go down, even when Bitcoin should probably be at least $17,824.19. It still goes down certain days. Is where, especially from the news that we've had before, it's fairly obvious that bears are trying their best to be able to do something. The podcast I was listening to, the guy was talking about there's so much money behind this. People couldn't even begin to fathom what's happening. He said there are people who have positions opened on a website to sell a huge amount of Bitcoin. And he said on the other website, they have buy orders for extremely low amounts. So you pretty much just cut what you have in half, sell a huge amount of it. But on the other website, you have a buy order for extremely low amounts. So he said these people are making millions, not tens of thousands, millions of dollars every single day, manipulating the market until they have had their fill. And they're extremely full, and they go, okay, let the market do what it wants to do. And then the market completely goes insane because these people have eaten millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin every single day as they push down the prices. It's fairly fascinating what you can do when your pockets are fat, when you're full of money. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Is today Friday? Yes, it is. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope your work day goes by extremely quick. If you don't like your boss, try to go outside for a cigarette break. Go for a bathroom break. Say you really have to go and just stand there for an hour playing a game. That's terrible advice. Don't let your boss know that I said that. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See